What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of No Mercy, coming at you as I love to do several times a week. Wherever you find your free podcast, you can find No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith here. Obviously, I'm on the road. I'm not in my usual confines, but nevertheless, I'm still coming to you thanks to our official studio sponsor, FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is the official sports betting company of the No Mercy podcast. Also, gold is the silver bullet for protecting and building your wealth. Call my friends at Legacy Precious Metals at 866-257-3080. That's 866-257-3080. Or download your free investing kit by visiting them online at legacypminvestments.com. You know, before I go into my interview today, because we got a movie, Sweetwater, coming out, and I got a special guest coming on that I'm looking forward to talking to and looking forward to all of you hearing from, because I think the story of Sweetwater, Nate Sweetwater Clifton, I mean, obviously the first black player to ever sign a contract, an NBA contract. That's a very interesting and compelling story, and I'm going to look forward to having a conversation with somebody who's playing in this movie, Sweetwater. But before then, obviously, we have the NBA playoffs set to begin this weekend. You didn't think I was going to forget about that, did you? Got to talk about that because that's on my mind. But even before I get to that, I wanted to transition because it's amazing sometimes the level of conflicting stories that take place. On one hand, we heard news just yesterday that the great Earvin Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard in the history of basketball, most would say, although some would say Steph Curry in this day and age. Different reasons, of course, but that's a subject for another day. Greatest point guard level, five-time champion, greatest leader without question. That Magic Johnson has a minority stake in a group led by Josh Harris, who has a tentative non-exclusive agreement at this moment in time to buy the Washington Commanders of the National Football League for $6.05 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, the significance of that to me, as it pertains to me bringing up Magic Johnson's name, is because, as is the case with the ownership group in Denver, where Condoleezza Rice is a part of that, former Secretary of State of the United States of America, Magic Johnson being a part of this group means that those black athletes in the National Football League and black folks in the United States of America is going to have representation in those rooms with NFL owners. Think Colin Kaepernick. Think so many different issues like the Rooney Rule, where you got to interview candidates before you hire somebody. You have to interview African-American candidates. Think about the trials and tribulations folks have had to go through, even since the rule has been instituted since 2003. Think about the inordinate amount of coaches who've been bypassed, shunned aside, or in the case of the Houston Texans, getting fired after 1 year. David Culley and then Lovie Smith. But Nick Caserio gets to keep his job as the GM with his feudal self. Ain't done a damn thing right, but keep getting several bites at the apple. While black coaches just come and go, even though the new one, D'Amico Ryans, former defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, I expect him to do a significantly better job. He's got a 6-year contract agreement. He's going to be there for a while. The point is, when we talk about the National Football League, which is without question the most popular league in America, having black representation in that room, particularly considering the times that we've lived in, where the Colin Kaepernick situation came about, and ultimately Trump was the president, and ultimately, the narrative was hijacked and it was turned into some issue of patriotism, veering away from police brutality, which is what Colin Kaepernick was talking about. All of this stuff was happening. And the nation was divided. Because you had a lot of folks in white America that were speaking about patriotism, or about the fact that they're tired of talking about racism. They just want to watch football. And you have black folks who were coming to the defense of Colin Kaepernick. And ultimately, Colin Kaepernick's never been back in the league. And you know what people thought about that. And they pointed to the absence of representation. Well, now this is a step, and this is another step in that direction, addressing those concerns. Because I assure you, as somebody who personally knows Magic Johnson, who's personally friends with Magic Johnson, I promise you, Magic Johnson ain't going to be in those rooms and be quiet. I promise you, he's going to have something to say. I promise you that when he speaks, his voice will be heard. Make no mistake about it. So that's a beautiful thing. And it's something that I think that we all should celebrate. Especially folks in Black America, assuming this deal is finalized and the group led by Josh Harris, which includes Magic Johnson, becomes the new owners of the Washington Commanders of the National Football League. Here's the downside. Mikey Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, I barely heard about this kid because he is a kid. He's 18 years of age now. As an 8th grader, there's clips of him jumping over someone, putting the ball between his legs and giving you a Vince Carter-style dunk as an 8th grader. And because he's been such a stellar athlete, such a sensational basketball player, he's been able to make money due to his name, image, and likeness as a high schooler. As a high schooler. The lead says Mikey Williams is one of the best and highest paid high school hoop stars in the country. That's where it starts. He's out of San Diego, California. Reportedly arrested yesterday on multiple felony assault charges. I don't know what happened. I don't know the details. I really, really don't. Trying to figure out how a dude that just turned 18 is buying a 3,700 square foot home last summer. We can ask questions like where are the parents and all of this other stuff, but I'm not going to blame the parents. It's not that simple. In today's day and age, it's hard to raise a kid. I'm a daddy. I know this. You got people out here. Back then, it would take a community. It wasn't just your parents who raised you. The block raised you. The neighborhood raised you. People looked out for one another. That ain't the case now. It seems like everybody for themselves. And when I thought about Magic Johnson and the news about him and that group yesterday, and then I heard about Mikey Williams, two stories having absolutely, positively nothing to do with one another, I just found my heart aching. Because if you got 5 felony assault charges, chances are you might be going to prison. We don't know the details. Not going to get into the details because I don't know them. But 5 felony assault charges? You 18 years of age? Why? You making money? Why? You have the ability to get out from under a system that may have plagued you in your community and held you down. You got the ability to take care of your family. You're clearly a potential NBA prospect. You were known to be friends with Bronny James. I don't know any of that stuff. There's all that stuff that I just heard. But see, it elevates the importance of the Magic Johnson stories. That kid out of Flint, Michigan, who grew up poor, who started at Michigan State and ultimately became an NBA champion and a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest players in the history of the game, who ultimately became a pioneer in the world of business, positioning himself to do so much good in the world of business and to help so many others. Magic Johnson Theaters, his affiliation with Starbucks. The list goes on and on and on what this man has done. He's built over a $600 million business. That's the Magic Johnson I know. And when you think about what LeBron does in the world of business, what Kevin Durant does in the world of business, what Steph Curry's doing in the world of business, what Russell Westbrook is doing in the world of business, the list goes on and on and on. It started from somewhere. The great Isaiah Thomas and the things that he's done over the years in the world of business. Do you know that Isaiah Thomas, at one point, was the largest distributor. He owned a company that was the largest distributor of popcorn in the country. I mean, you just hear the brilliance. And then you see the potential for the youth on the come up. And then you're wondering what the hell they're thinking. Mikey Williams, what are you thinking? I'm going to leave it at that because I don't know more details than that. And I'm not going to convict this brother in the court of public opinion. I'm more upset because he's found himself in this position where his life and his livelihood is in jeopardy. But I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he's going to be okay, and I hope that he's not guilty of what they are accusing him of and what they allege his crime to be. Let me get on out of here before I say this, before I get into this interview. You know, the first black player to sign a contract in the NBA was Sweetwater Clifton with the New York Knicks. Forgive me, but it got me thinking about my Knicks. Because my Knicks play this weekend. And you know, while I was doing some television this morning, they posed a question to me. And I got this big smile over my face because I started fantasizing. And I said, you know, everybody's talking about, you know, who's got a chance to really, really make some noise, to really big up themselves, to really elevate their stature within the game. Who has a chance? And I saw people talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, and people talking about James Harden, and people talking about Russell Westbrook. All true. Ladies and gentlemen, what if it's Jalen Brunson? What if Jalen Brunson beats the Cleveland Cavaliers? Let's not stop right there. What if Jalen Brunson and the Knicks beat the Cleveland Cavaliers and then go into the second round and beat Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks? What if Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks then end up against Boston or Philly and Julius Randle with Jalen Brunson, with Emmanuel Quickley and Barrett, with Tibbs coaching them, and Mitchell Robinson doing his job, and everybody, and Obi Toppin coming off the bench, and Grimes hitting shots? What if the New York Knicks go to the finals? What if they do it? Could you imagine anything bigger? If the New York Knicks with this bunch, knowing what was standing in their path, that it was Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown 1 minute, it was Antetokounmpo and Middleton and Drew Holiday the next, it was Donovan Mitchell before that. What if Jalen Brunson, a reserve in Dallas, who the Mavs wouldn't even give $56 million to, who only got his shine because Luka Doncic got hurt, and he won the Utah series last year before helping Luka get them to the conference finals, before leaving Dallas to come to New York City? What if Jalen Brunson leads the Knicks to the conference finals or the finals? I don't know of a story in the NBA that would be bigger than that. I don't know of a player whose career would benefit more over that. Because I got news for you. If Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving had chosen the Garden over Brooklyn, they'd both be billionaires. They'd both be billionaires. They messed up. They made the wrong choice. Jalen Brunson didn't do that. That's what I was thinking about when I thought about the Knicks. First black player to sign an NBA contract. Signed it with the Knicks. Sweetwater was his name. That was his nickname, Sweetwater Clifton. There's a movie after him. coming out now, today. The actor in it, playing Sweetwater, is Mr. Everett Osborne. He's up next. I wonder if he'll be wearing a Knicks uniform. About to find out. Back with Everett Osborne in a minute. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, doesn't that feel nice? That's what Headspace is all about, ladies and gentlemen. I've dealt with stress, anxiety, and all that, and I know how much Headspace can help you out. They offer guided meditations, mindfulness practices, breathing exercises, and more. And when I tell you my mood can really change with their help, I'm not lying. It really helps. You'll find a teacher that's right for you. And with over 1,000 hours of exercises, you'll be in a chiller state of mind in no time. Headspace has helped me and more than 100 million people worldwide. They can help you too. Listen up. You do not want to miss this. I've arranged something special. For a limited time, all of you can try Headspace free for 30 days by going to headspace.com/mercy30. You won't find this offer anywhere else. You must use my link, Headspace, HEADSPACE.com/mercy30 to unlock all of Headspace free for 30 days. This is not something they normally do. Headspace.com/mercy30. I'm always on the go. Going to this game, heading to that recording studio, making an appearance at this event. So sometimes it's really rewarding to stay in, put on a show, and kick back. And when you just want to do that, Drizzly is your best friend. Drizzly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. So if you're with friends or you've got a last-minute get-together, that home delivery in 60 minutes is huge. But we're not just talking about them getting you cheap beer. No, Drizzly does more. Fine wines, the latest and most popular seltzers, beers for the big game. They've got a huge selection, and you can shop across multiple stores to make sure you're getting the best deal. This is convenience at its finest. A great app and alcohol delivery just like that. Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and get your favorite drinks delivered today. Ding dong, it's Drizzly. Must be 21 years plus. Not available in all locations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm incredibly excited to speak to my next guest on this podcast because he's an actor who will be seen in the feature film Sweetwater. He portrays Nat Sweetwater Clifton, one of the men who broke the NBA color barrier in 1950 and did it on my beloved New York Knicks. Please welcome to the No Mercy podcast, the one and only Everett Osborne. What's going on, man? How are you, man? How's everything?
Stephen A., what's going on, man? Everything's great. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, please, man. The pleasure is all mine. Now, listen, you started acting from the time that you was 4. I did my homework on you. You started acting from the time that you were 4. But I got to ask you this. Considering the fact that you're playing Sweetwater Clifton, which essentially is the Jackie Robinson of basketball, what does it feel like for you when you hear people tell you that that's the character that you're playing, that's the significance of the character you're playing?
I mean, first off, it's a complete honor. And then you realize it's a responsibility when, like you said, he is the Jackie Robinson of basketball, but we haven't heard about him. So in my mind, as the actor, right, this is the human being, I'm like, wow, okay, this is monumental. But there's going to be a whole host of people that haven't heard this. And then these kids growing up that love basketball, that love sports, the first time they see Nat Sweetwater Clifton is going to be through me. So there's a huge responsibility to that, to his family, first and foremost. And then, man, the fun begins, right, of just going on this journey of what was it like during this time when there was no prerequisite, there was no point of reference. And now you create that mold, you break the mold, you break a color barrier, you break rules that were set in front of you. What does that feel like, man? That journey was magical. Magical.
How did you research for this project?
I mean, so first and foremost, a real human, right? So I went straight to the facts, hit up Google, saw any interviews I could find, saw any facts I could find, how he scored, what he did, where's he from. I mean, I just maniacally just researched. And Martine Gigi, who's the writer and the director, did a phenomenal job researching this, man. I mean, this script has been started since 28 years ago. So to think, I was 2 years old when I first touched the basketball, he was building this script, and his research was phenomenal. I mean, he went through the NBA vaults in New York. I mean, he picked up Yellow Pages and cold called Chuck Cooper's people. I mean, so the research that was done for this as the actor, I was already supported because through the script, it was built with truth, facts, authenticity, and I had to just do my extra work. And I found a couple cool videos and stuff about Sweetwater, and him actually talking himself, and just did my own research from there.
How hard was it for you to land this role?
You know, I mean, they say things in life, what's yours is already done, right? I could say I landed the role in the audition when I did it, right? But that's not the truth. I mean,
Mm.
I've been preparing my whole life. You know, I've been, like you said, I've been acting since the age of 4. I was in training during that time. I just got back from playing professional basketball in Australia as well. So I was prepared athletically and as an actor, man, on both ends of the spectrum. So when it came to me, I kind of just hopped right into the mode. So I wouldn't say it was difficult to actually get it, but man, the preparation of the year
Mm.
grind and trying to play pro, trying to book jobs as an actor, I mean, that was very treacherous for me. And that's where I learned you got to just endure to the end, even when you don't see a way out. Even
Mhm.
if you feel something deep down inside that you love and have a passion for something, you may not know what it's about, why you have it, but you have to keep pushing, man. And faith is going to always win. Love is going to always win the battle, man. And I think that's what happened.
You know what, the thing that made me smile is when I read about your background and I saw that, obviously you played college ball, Division I scholarship. Obviously you played overseas in Australia and stuff like that. I said, oh, so he could ball, because you know this just as well as I do. There's been plenty of people who've, forayed into acting and they've acted in sports movies or whatever. And 1 or 2 dribbles and you automatically know they're not ball players. They're not ball players.
Yeah.
Obviously, that wasn't the case for you. Did you look at that, your basketball background, as giving you a distinct advantage for this role?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, I put on the real Chuck Taylors. I'm doing dunks. I'm doing spin moves. I'm doing between the legs lefts. I'm doing jumpers. I mean, I think on my audition tape, I sent in a video. I made 10 threes in a row, back to back. I mean, no cuts, no edit. And that transition is to film to make it authentic. But to be honest, though, that's basketball in this day and age. Basketball in the 1950s is totally different. So as the actor, I can't bring my tendencies and use that as leisure to step into a new world that I haven't absorbed yet. So that was the battle, right? Of the temptation of, okay, yeah, I can do this. I play ball. This is easy for me. Well, no, it's not, because this wasn't during that time. So that was the battle I had to find and surrender myself to step into that world.
You talk about the battles that you discovered as you were playing this role or whatever. The human side definitely comes into the equation. Once you shove aside the whole basketball skills, the basketball background, etc., I'm thinking that obviously if you're going to play a character from the early 1950s, obviously it has to replicate the times of the early 1950s. And considering that, what was that like for you to be playing a character that had to experience racism, prejudice, et cetera, et cetera? What was that like for you?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was eye-opening. I mean, because you start realizing how far we've come, supposedly, but then you start seeing there's a through line of what happened then and what's still going on today. But the truth is, yeah, the time period was based on 1950, but for that human being, you got to go back to before, in 1922 when he was born, right? And then just see what life was like. You got the Great Depression. And then you see this person that put up 60 points in high school, couldn't go to college because he had to go to war. So now what was that like to fight for a country and put your dreams and yourself to the side of not playing college basketball to go serve a country, fight for democracy and freedom for everybody? And that changes you, right? I mean, that will equalize you to where even though racism is going on, when you get back, it doesn't matter if someone white is telling you you're not good enough for not doing this. Hey, I just fought with you guys, so I have a different perspective. I see things differently. So I think coming back into those racial situations in the 1950s, Sweetwater had a different perspective because he just came from a space where he was fighting for all people. So yeah, he felt the racism. Yeah, he felt that, and that wasn't easy. But I think he had a bigger vision beyond that, and he knew his value as a human beyond what was being showed to him.
I remember the scene in the movie where the owners are talking amongst themselves as to whether or not they should allow African-American players into the league, and the reticence, the hesitancy, the resistance was because you were going to be too entertaining. Yeah. What was that like for you? Because, I mean, you would think, listen, entertainment sells. And we've always understood entertainment sells. If you're not entertained, why would you go watch a baseball game, a basketball game, a football game? Clearly, entertainment was obviously a gravitating force. Yet, when it came to Sweetwater Clifton, that was one of the things that people were resistant to. The fact that he might be too entertaining. Did that make sense? How did y'all make sense out of that as you were building that scene for the movie?
I mean, it doesn't make sense at all, right? I mean, but the truth is,
Exactly.
you don't know what you don't know. So you may think this is the standard of entertainment during this time, right? The two dribbles, the simple movement,
Yep.
right? I mean, even jazz during that time, it was a certain type of jazz where they weren't free, right? They were just playing just to entertain the dancers, and everyone was stuck into a box. And then it transitioned into more bebop and more freestyle and more flow and more expressive.
Right.
So the same thing kind of transitioned to entertainment across the board, even basketball. So I mean, it was tough during that time when you feel like I can show all of these things inside of me, right? I go play with my boys, I go play with the Globetrotters, and I know I have these skills that I've worked on, but now I can't express it. Like, what do you do when you feel like you have all of this wealth of a gift, but there's no platform to express that? So that's frustrating, to be honest with you, man. But to think that there was other guys, right, that we played major roles. We got the Joe Lapchicks by Jeremy Piven, who did a phenomenal job, right? We got the Kerry was Ned Irish. I mean, these people that's in there played a major role to fighting for this change because they saw that it did sell tickets. So, I mean, it's very tough to think that it wasn't received during that time, but you see the moment it was, now we got guys. I mean, even Michael Jordan said there's no Michael Jordan without Sweetwater. You got all you need is one athlete to inspire a nation. So it's inspiring to see how we push through that.
You know, sports fans everywhere, particularly the basketball fan, knows a lot about Sweetwater Clifton, but the world knew about Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much about Sweetwater Clifton. Why do you think that is, particularly while taping this movie in the aftermath of having filmed this movie? What do you walk away with thinking about as to why he's so considerably lesser known than the great late Jackie Robinson?
Well, all respect to Jackie Robinson, right? During that time, MLB, the American sport, it already reached a certain plateau. I mean, the NBA started off as the BAA, right? Around the time of 1947, maybe, right?
Yep.
Or 1946, around that time.
That's correct.
Then it merges, correct? So during that time, baseball is already, and during that time, Jackie Robinson already crossed the color line of MLB. They had fans coming in. I mean, the truth is, Stephen A., the Harlem Globetrotters introduced basketball to a lot of the world. A lot of kids grew up only knowing about them, right? Even other countries only knowing about them. And people would come fill out the arena for the Harlem Globetrotter games. Then once the game was over, the NBA teams would try to sneak in the arena and play their game just to keep the fans. I mean, that's the truth of it. That just shows you that the NBA then wasn't the NBA we know now. So on behalf of that, to answer your question, you have certain pioneers and trailblazers that helped build the league and bring those fans through the entertainment, the breaking news entertainment that we're talking about that Sweetwater brought to the game, the flair, the style that they've never seen before. He brings those fans in. Now the NBA is building on top of that and just building as they're going, trying to figure it out. I don't know if they know they're going to be the multi-billion-dollar industry they are now. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's how it happened. Sweetwater just got lost in the shuffle during that time with a lot of many other greats. Opposed to Jackie Robinson, MLB was already the MLB. And it already had a structure that the NBA, to be quite frank with you, didn't have. And they didn't really honor those people during that time because it was more of a selfish intent, just business, trying to be a better business. And Sweetwater fell in the mold with that. But thankfully now, April 14th, we get an opportunity, man, to just bring truth to the forefront. I mean, one thing about truth is there's no time limit on truth. Right? It's always a good time.
Right about that.
Right? Always a great.
Absolutely right about that. I'm talking right here to Everett Osborne right here with Stephen on this No Mercy podcast. You know, you played college ball. Remind my audience where you played college ball and how you ended up overseas in Australia.
Well, I played college ball at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. That's in the WAC conference. Right after that, to be honest with you, I wasn't getting a lot of playing time. You know, you go through politics for whatever reason. So I averaged maybe 5 points a game. So I did not have any offers to play overseas. So I had a whole year off, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, going to work out, no options at all. I went on a mission trip to New Zealand, played with Athletes in Action over there. A coach saw me, and I came back home, worked, grinded it out, no options. Got a phone call while playing in the NBA, while playing in the Drew League out here in LA, and a coach from Australia said he was watching me the whole time. So I flew out there, and actually during that time, I got put in the NBA G League draft 2017. By the Canton Charge. Didn't go draft it because I didn't have an agent at all. So I went to Australia, killed it, and was playing there for a few years, and COVID forced me to come home, man, and I found my true purpose has been here all along.
So interesting. So when you think about it, because you're talking about all of that basketball, but how much acting was you doing in the time? How much acting or training or anything like that? What were you doing at that particular time as it pertained to the acting profession?
Yeah, man. So once I graduated college and I didn't have any opportunity, I mean, I went straight into full mode actor mode during that time while I was still waking up. So I'll wake up at 4:30, and then maybe by 11, 12 o'clock, I'm doing auditions, I'm training, I'm studying. So I've always had that duality of that world existing. When I went to Australia, I still was booking commercials. I never forget my coach that sent me out there. We eating dinner at his house. He's like, "Hey, yo, Evo." Like, that's what they call him. But, "Hey, Evo, is that you on my camera screen, on my TV?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me, coach." He said, "When did you do that?" So I always stayed on the craft, just to let you know, man. I always stayed on it, and the opportunity just presented itself. And like I said, I was prepared. I was ready for it.
What do you think this role in this movie, Sweetwater, is going to do for your acting career?
Man, it's so hard to answer that, man. I think before I could give it, I can't put the cart before the horse, right? I mean, I think the first thing is that this thing gets released and people get to receive this. And by the grace of God, I was a vessel to usher in this giant, to usher in this pioneer, man. So, I mean, the first thing for me is just to be present in the moment and really have people receive this truth, receive this story. And I mean, like I said before, my formula don't change. I'm going to stay ready. I'm going to stay preparing. And we got a lot of different things we're looking at right now. But the first thing is just really allowing people to really receive this true story, man. I mean, we got a lot of great people that surrounded me with a cast, even though it's my first film leading role. We got Richard Dreyfuss, who's been here. St. Carrie, Kevin Pollard.
Jeremy Piven's been here.
Big
no question.
So we got a lot of great people to really push this story forward, man. And I mean, with God's grace, I think the sky's the limit.
As a former athlete, and I'm not going to even say former because obviously you could still ball. And, I got to ask you, when you look at today's climate as it pertains to the world of professional sports, professional basketball to be specific, knowing through your studying what a Sweetwater Clifton endured in order to get to this point, to be a Harlem Globetrotter and then to be in the NBA and to see what the NBA has materialized into a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate and the athletes that represent the sport and cover it. What are your thoughts about today's NBA? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
Wow, that's a great question, man. Well, I love how creative this game is, man. I mean, you got guys like Kyrie that talk about how he gets on the court and it's a canvas he paints every night. We see guys like LeBron doing things we've never seen before. So I think just to see how the game has changed on these shoulders of Sweetwater and guys like that, right, to actually be able to show your creativity in an unlimited way is beautiful. But then, like, I was just in All-Star Weekend, and we had a great weekend out there, right? But we talk about being competitive. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. I mean, I've heard interviews of him talk about how the All-Star game should be very competitive. I mean, this is the moment where all fans pay to see the best on the court. It's the best pickup game ever. Let's compete. I mean, we had our Celebrity All-Star game. They said it was the most competitive event all weekend. No disrespect at all, but that's because that's what we brought to the game. So I think that could improve a little bit as far as just bringing that edge every game, every day. I mean, you got a lot of guys in the league that bring that, but during that time with Sweetwater, when he was growing up, it wasn't about the money. See, we're playing for something different. Every time we step on this court, it really means something beyond anything that the world can offer you. This is our moment to prove, to fight for the equality, to show value where we put our game in. Like, I am beyond equal. I may even be better, right? So when you try to suppress me, this is how I fight back. This is beyond just me. I'm fighting for a group here. So I think bringing that back to the true game of basketball, which is the game we all love, that physicality, that meaning beyond money, I think that can change a little bit.
Well, listen, I think it could change a lot. I'm going to be more direct than you. It pisses me off what I'm seeing in today's generation, only from this perspective. I have no problem with some folks thinking about economic empowerment, particularly if you coming from the days of Sweetwater Clifton. You could go to the 70s. You could go to the 80s. I got no problems with it. But when you sign in for 9 figures, okay, for 9 figures, you have achieved economic empowerment. Yeah. And at that point in time, you shouldn't be in an NBA All-Star game playing less hard than you do in the summer league when you're working out. Simply working out, you and I both know this, simply working out on a basketball court in the off season, you playing 10 times harder than what we saw All-Star Weekend. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how could you allow the product to be diluted to that point? And that's what I'm actually hoping this movie does a great job of reminding folks of the path traveled to that level of success. So guys that are already here in this day and age can appreciate it realize it, and elevate and continue to elevate the value of the sport. Am I wrong in thinking like that?
Man, you're 1,000% right. I mean, that's the value of history. When you don't know your history, you're liable of being misled and going on a path you're not supposed to be on. So I think, like you said, bringing this film to the forefront, guys understanding what happened during this time, I think it'll ignite something deeper in them that, hey, this is bigger than what's been going on. Just through that awareness, that's what this film is going to bring. Actually, I know that for a fact. So I'm looking forward to people feeling that, especially the guys in the league, the women playing the game of basketball, the kids coming up playing the game of basketball. Being aware of history, man, is pivotal.
Listen, and before I let you go, because I know you know your basketball, what the Knicks going to do this year, man? Give it to me straight. Just give it to me straight. What are my New York Knicks going to do this year, man? I want to hear. I mean, you Sweetwater Clifton. I mean, come on now. I mean, tell me what the New York Knicks are going to do this year.
There's no city like New York. I'm from Los Angeles, California, right? But there's no city like New York. So I think that's a place of all possibilities. So I can't think you can ever discredit what New York could bring, what the people could bring. So I think anything can happen.
Anything can happen. That don't sound too damn confident. I mean, you're not giving me specific. That seems like a con way of telling me my New York Knicks going home in the first round. That's what that sounds like to me, Everett. That's what that sounds like to me, man.
I'm gonna say they're not going home in the first round. I'm gonna put that out there. They're not going home in the first round.
So that would mean you think they're going to beat Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round.
Well, because you said they're gonna go home, I have to present the other option, right? Which life always.
Okay.
I gotta say that you probably won't go home.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Wait. I'm not gonna be mad about that. I'm gonna be very, very happy about that. I can go to the Garden. I'd rather go there than to go to Cleveland. Let me be very, very clear about that. Who you got coming out of the Eastern Conference this year?
Oh man, out of the East.
Come on, man. This shouldn't be hard. You don't be scared to tell us what you think about basketball. You know the game now. This should be hard.
Okay, you want my honest opinion?
Honest opinion. I always want honest opinions. Who you got coming out of the East?
I haven't even been watching all of basketball because I've been so locked in on what we've been.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, someone was asking me yesterday about March Madness, who I got. And I'm like, honestly, I haven't even looked at my TV because I've been in so much grime on my time. I've been so dedicated to scripts and film and stuff like that right now. So I haven't even been watching.
Well, let me make you feel better about it. I have watched some of these games, and I don't know who the hell I'm picking. You see what I'm saying? I don't know, especially with March Madness. It's all a guess. It's all a guess. I had Duke and Indiana in the Final Four. They lost. They got knocked out. I got Alabama. Okay, Alabama's still alive at the time we're talking right now. And UCLA. In the NBA, it's going to come down to Milwaukee, Boston, or Philly. Right now, it looks like Milwaukee's going to come out of the East. We don't know who the hell's going to come out of the West because every time we turn around, somebody else is getting hurt. So we don't know who's going to be available. Yeah,
you know what? That was going to be my first point. Let's go with Milwaukee. You know, I got my guy Bobby Portis who's playing Earl Lloyd in the film. Did an amazing job. So let's go with Milwaukee.
All right. Well, Earl, that's not bad. That's not bad. I give you that.
Give me that.
Look, man, I'm proud of you, man. Keep doing it. Keep doing your thing, man. This is only the beginning. The hardest step is always the first step. Once that first step is achieved, everything else flows from there, my brother. So I'm expecting good things from you in the near future, man. I really appreciate the conversation. Thanks so much.
I will say that, Stephen A. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No doubt. Me Undies. Remember the name. Me Undies. I don't care who you are or what you do, but it's a fact that you wear underwear, right? And it's a fact that Me Undies has the softest in the business. Magically soft, I might add. I don't go around telling people what kind of underwear I've got on, but I'm wearing Me Undies right now, and I'm proud of it because all they want to do is make you feel your best. That's Me Undies Go, and I do feel my best when I have them on because they're soft, that's why. They're perfect for lounging around. They're size inclusive from extra small to 4XL, and they're willing to take the onus of shopping off your shoulders, sending you new products every single month with their membership. And if you're a member, you'll also get 30% off select items and early access. But hey, membership is just optional. Sounds pretty good to me, though. To get 25% off your first order, plus free standard shipping, visit MeUndies.com/mercy. Remember, if you're not satisfied, your purchase is on Me Undies. In case you didn't know, I can talk. Actually, I could talk for hours and hours and hours on end. I got a lot to say. That's how it goes. But there's a whole world of people out there, and sometimes I wish I could reach more of them and share my thoughts and opinions with those halfway across the globe. And that's where Rosetta Stone would be able to help. They've been the expert in language learning for 30 years, and their award-winning app lets you learn anytime, anywhere. You can pick from 25 languages: Spanish, Italian, Chinese, Arabic, Dutch, and more, and make real progress in as little as 10 minutes. They know your time is valuable, so their bite-sized lessons prepare you for real-life interactions, not just vocab. Whether you want to travel or experience new cultures or whatever the reason, this is the immersive learning experience for you. For a limited time, our listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime unlimited subscription, which gives you access to all 25 of their languages forever for 40% off. Visit rosettastone.com/mercy today. Rosetta Stone, how language is learned. Hey guys, Stephen A. here. I've autographed copies of my new book, Straight Shooter, exclusively for Premier Collectibles. And now for a limited time, you can use code SAS15 to save 15% at checkout. That's SAS15 for 15% off at checkout. Head over to StephenABook.com and get your signed copy today. Thanks again to the wonderful Mr. Everett Osborne. Great talking to him, wishing him nothing but the best. Seems like he's got a bright future ahead of him. And like he said, he'll be watching some NBA basketball with me this weekend as well. Okay? We got to get on out of here. Wishing him nothing but the best. The movie Sweetwater, make sure everybody goes and sees it. Me, I'm heading to watch the NBA playoffs. Orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies. That's what I'm about to do. Until next time, everybody. Peace and love.